Good afternoon. In this brief session, we are going to explore, or we are going to I will try to throw some light on three things. And those three things are number one, what is my observation of for this paper. Because as far as interpretation is concerned, regarding some perception for this paper is concerned, that reflects in the answer. That certainly reflects in the answer. Number two is a general interpretation of the syllabus. There are 6 segments, and those 6 segments. And then third is case study, and that is equally important. So, as far as ethics, integrity, and aptitude is concerned, my observation is based on only 2 things. And those 2 things are, number one, what is the purpose of UPSC, why UPSC has introduced this paper. Though it started this deliberation since 2001 itself. This is not a new thing that they had introduced some 2 years back. And then we have a 2 years paper also that gives an insight, some kind of information, and some kind of illustration, in the sense a direction where we should look upon. What is the purpose and why they are framing this question. In this slide only, one very, very important thing, that this is just 2 years in the new scheme of things. They will go for some kind of experiment. They will raise the bar little bit, as you have already witnessed that previous year also. They have introduced a new kind of case studies. The format they have little bit introduced. 2 cases were there. So there are ample scope for do so. So this is the first aspect of my perception, my idea, what I perceive. Then the second is, I am fortunate enough, I think myself, that I have already corrected more than 1500 copies for ethics. This is not less. It demands a lot of courage to do so. 1500 copy, and then to speak before you, and a lot of selected candidates are there. It gives a amazing insight. What is the level of preparation? What candidate used to see in the paper? What kind of mistakes they are committing? What kind of limitations they have in their preparation? And then, most important, in a short period of time, is it possible to overcome? Because ultimately you have so many things to do. And the whole scheme of a strategy, paper 4 plays a very, very important role, because often we used to get feedback from you, and the feedback is work for 3 things and you are selected. Those 3 things are optional, paper 4 and essay. But I had little bit different opinion for that, little bit different opinion. The sense is, now only some 10-15 minutes back I was talking to a few candidates, and I told them that after correcting the copies, what happened, that I'm coming directly in 2 minutes to the real business of today's discussion. Just I wanted to deliberate something. That after the selection of result of this 2014, I invited copies of many candidates like 28th rank, 22, 72, 104, 14 sorrow, and so many. What I witnessed in that, all those copy, that typically out of 20, 25, 10 to 12 questions, everyone is falling at the same length and same pace. As far as 10 or 12 question is concerned, there is no difference between the 28th rank or the 74th rank or the 59th rank, 49th rank or 104 or something like what copy I have seen. Then the rest of the questions, I'm talking about paper 1, 2, 3. Then rest of the questions little bit creating differences of 1 marks, 2 marks. What I'm trying to say is, don't go by the popular notions in this examination. This is the real killer, I tell you. Go for holistic preparation. Don't take a chance, because after all you are chasing a very high dream, and then working on the speculations, or just following even my suggestion blindly, or some successful candidate as if they are the sacrosanct and whatever they say that is the final words. It never happens. So go for full-fledged preparation. Paper 1, 2, 3, 4 essay. As far as preparation is concerned, most important is time management, nothing else. Now, now come to the syllabus. Now syllabus, as far as this ethics, integrity and aptitude is concerned, you will see that here the behavior of this paper in terms of marking and behavior of essay, it gives a sense that little bit in the same direction in comparison to paper 1, 2, 3. Both are highly subjective, and often you will see the extreme, two extremes. Like one candidate are getting 130, 135, 140, some sort of thing. In essay also they are getting, I have heard that this year highest marks in essay is 160 somewhat. I don't know exactly, but somebody told me. But I met the person who scored 156. Same time, I also met the person who scored 75 or 77 or 78. Even if it's less than that, I don't know. In the paper 4 also, I know the person who scored 120, 120, something like that. And then I also know the person who scored 62, 63. This is precisely because of one reason. The reason is, in paper 4, often you will see that questions are open-ended. We call it for the sake of convenience. For the sake of convenience, that questions are open-ended. But it's very, very important. Answer cannot be open-ended and subjective. Answer has to be highly objective. Highly objective, I am saying. It cannot be subjective even. It cannot be objective, open-ended. Has to be objective. And when we have to go for objective, interpretation is very, very important. The moment your interpretation falls somewhere where UPSC is not there, there are chances that you will get a good less marks and you may penalize heavily. So interpretation in this case is very, very important. Now see, in a paper 4, theoretical questions, generally they are asking, or generally there are two segments. Segments in the sense, every question carries two sections. First section is little bit easy and very, very conceptual. Then the second is demanding higher quality of interpretation and analysis. They may ask for conscience crisis. Simple. But addition to that, there is a difference, or you can say the level is little bit high. And here comes your analysis. Now I am coming to the practical illustration, what I have witnessed and what is my experience and knowledge is. See, ideally this paper is this. We call it ethics, and ethics is nothing but a judgment of good, bad, right, wrong, or a standard practice. Fine, the action reflects, that is called morality. Morality is nothing but action. Ethics is nothing but simply principle, the basis of consideration. But my question is, in the syllabus, only in the paper 4, there is an instruction. Not in paper 1, not in paper 2, not in paper 3. It's not so. There is a purpose for it. I read out. See it carefully. This paper includes questions to test the candidate's attitude and approach. It's clearly written. Clearly. They want to test two things. Now I will give you sense of last 2 years paper, where they are falling. Fine. And then in the extension of this, they are saying issues relating to integrity, probity in public life, and his problem solving approach. Integrity, probity, etc. And after all, solving skills. Questions may utilize the case study approach to determine these aspects. So often what happens that we try to think about the case studies in isolation. Often it happens. how to prepare for the case study, what should be the approach, something like that. But you can't do so. You can't do so. It is not possible at all to think about the case study and try to prepare the case study in isolation. Because case study is integration of ethics, morality, value. How you have to answer it. Often there is you can say dilemma regarding being a young bright students or candidates. We don't know much. We don't know much about law, rules, regulation. So how to solve it? But my question is, does it required to solve all the case studies? No, not at all. Barring one or two where RTI kind of questions are there may be some kind of sections you are required, otherwise not at all. Because they also know it's not possible for us. Now, I tell you why. See, if ethics is principle, then obviously it draws its authority from somewhere. On the basis there are sources. So the sources are value, the most important aspect, then rule, law, regulations. It can be religion also, it can be conscience also. But certainly does not mean these all are ethics. We can't say rule means ethics. We can't say emotions means ethics. We can't say religion. But these are the sources that provides the authority to decide something right, something wrong. Now, if you are clear with the structure, then the paper says ethics, integrity, and aptitude. Now there are two aspects of this paper. Ethics, integrity, that is largely driven by information, knowledge, wisdom, etc. But this is not the case with aptitude. Aptitude is more about skills. Often this is about this interpretation. Our interpretation is like this paper is ideally combination of two things, your heart and your mind. Because often ethics, values, conscience, etc. lies close to the heart. It does not mean that you have to write a very sentimental or emotional answer. It does not mean. You can't afford to do so. But the thing is that you have it's also not possible to go for just for the information or fact and figures, because this paper is not at all driven by the fact and figures. Not at all. So what happens that why it is so that aptitude is skill. So skill set for what? They have a purpose to conduct this examination. Often this is about the civil servants, a good civil servants. It is often said that the good civil servants are those who work with the heart and supervise and follow the mind. It's not like that all the time you have to apply the mind. It's also not that you have to always apply the rules and regulation. It never happens. A good administrator not always carry the CRPC Act in their pocket. Often they perform with their wisdom. And for you, the most important aspect is capacity to experience. I repeat, capacity to experience. I tell you here. Give you example. So often it is driven by these things. So you have to apply and you have to go for the rational answers. You have to apply the mind also. And then combined of these things comes the most important aspect is case studies are not, it cannot be solved and cannot be seen in isolation. It's not possible. Not possible. Its integration, answer will come through the law, answer may come through the morality, answer may come through the rational. So you may find the answer Being rational, you may find being applying morality, or you can say moral, and then the legal. Other interpretation for solving the case studies also, like it can be end based, it can be rule based, it can be care based. Care, give me marker. So, but these are not as sacrosanct and the final things that on the basis of this only you have to solve the case studies. The reason is there are a purpose of case study. It's a practical situation of learning and testing. And the reason is, I tell you, that there are various kind of formats and style related to the case studies. In the first year, we have witnessed it was more a kind of situational. They give you the situations and then they expect you to come up with the merit, demerit either, or they are given the merit, demerit, and you have to analyze or explain the merit, demerits. So something like that. Till now, we have three things, or you can say UPSC come up with thrice for this paper. Initially, when they announced the notification, immediately they issued some questions and case study. Second, last year paper and 2013 paper. Those, so I did three things. Last year, they little bit twisted in the case study, and case study can be framed in a number of ways. Now, how do you see it? It's very, very important. It's not like that all the time. We have seen that you start writing, these are the merits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these are the demerits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even in the life also, when we take decisions, even if we have 4 or 5 decisions, we used to consider on 1 or 2. The reason is based on the merit of the decision. Now what happens, you people usually write good number of easy demerits. The reason is that it gives you, you can say a coziness to explain in 50-60 words. 4 merit, then 4 demerit, easy demerits, together it combines 200-250 words, easily you can explain. But it never happens. It's not required to write all the times 3, 4, 5 demerits. Even if it is 1 or 2, it's enough. And for here, don't call it demerits, rather they are administrative limitations in some cases. Some cases there may be no demerit at all. You have to analyze all the options available. I give you a situation. Suppose there is a communal right and there is a disturbance, and because of that there is a crisis of essential commodity supply. Then you have to restore, and what are the options you have? So you can go for point number 1, you can go for point number 2, one can go for point number 4, and then you can conclude the answer. So not necessarily that even in the conclusion you have to opt for 1 or 2. It may be possible that you may go for all of the above. So it's not, don't try to fix it. What I'm trying to say is, don't try to fix it. Try to see from the situation perspective. What are the demand of the situation, and accordingly try to be very close to the syllabus, its orientation. A stand of morality is very, very important. I give you another example. Suppose there is a police officer and there is a demonstration is going on, protest is going on, fine. And that protest is regarding and against the corruption, rampant corruption. And sometime you feel, and some moment you feel, okay, fine, the demonstration is going out of control, and you have to apply or exert little bit force, might be mild force, fine. Now, what is expected from a police officer? Is it that he should be a very kind person? Certainly yes. But what to do in that situation? Go and join the protest, or go and perform his duty? So while writing the answer, whatever the consequences are there, you have to analyze it on the merit of consequences. You have to see the merit of the consequences, what happened. But there must be a balanced answer, and the answer should be on the basis of the merit of the consequences also, and from the duty perspective also. So these are the smaller things that you need to consider while explaining This does not demand a very, very deep analysis of very, you can say, some sort of rules, regulation, acts, CRPC, not required. I give you one a very, very good example of last year paper. How many of you have written last year means? Oh my God. Good. Means most of you are a victim of UPSC. Don't worry. So, in the last year, see, there was a case study, and the case study in a country, the migration of rural people to towns and cities is increasingly drastically. This is causing serious problem both in rural as well as in the urban areas. Fine. In fact, things are becoming really unmanageable. Can you analyze this problem in detail and indicate not only the socio-economic but also the emotional and attitudinal factor responsible for this problem? Also distinctly bring out why. Fine, it was the question. Now on the basis of this that I was discussing today itself, on the basis of the same case study, I am giving you another situation. Another situation, a hypothetical situation, you consider it that there is a employment generation program called or welfare scheme called Manrega. Now there is a problem, huge problem of money siphoning or its effectiveness. Now before that also there were too many employment schemes initiated by government. It was like Jawahar Rozgar Yojana also it was there, then food for work program was there, and since independence there are a number of employment driven programs. Now if I say what is the reason, point number 1, 2, 3 explain, then my question is different. Suppose it is a question that can be designed or redesigned for the paper 2 also. Is it possible? The same nature of question, little bit reorientation can be designed for the paper 4 also. How you will write your answer? While the paper 4, paper 2, you may go for the systematic problem, you may call it center-state relation, you may call it bureaucratic problem, you may call it some level of execution, effectiveness, etc. But in this case study 14, if this is the same question they ask, you have to also find out why this is happening. Is there any disvalue, deep-rooted disvalue in the society? Is it not that somebody is not performing their duty? Is it not that somebody is not professional competency is lacking? It is not that empathy is not there towards the downtrodden section and somebody is suffering? Same answer. This is what I am trying to say is you need to see it from this purpose. Same question. Same question can be answered in two different ways related to where it is placed. Nothing else. And so this is what I am trying to is, though I had told you initially that I will try to explain 3 things, and that is based on my limited experience or whatever limited experience, that whatever my perception about the paper is, what the syllabus in case study. Now at the last I am saying you that nothing is, you can't see the things in isolation. You can't see the syllabus in the interpretation of syllabus in the isolation. You can't see the case study in isolation. You can't write the answers. Like I tell you one more thing. There was a question last year, and the question is, what eminent personality has inspired you the most in the context of ethical conduct in life? Fine. Then another, in the 2013 also, there were questions, and the question was, indicate 2 more attributes which you consider important for the public service. Fine. Now, in the syllabus, it's clearly mentioned that contribution of moral thinkers and philosophers from India and world at one point, one section, and another the same, very close to it, it's written Lessons from the lives and teaching of the great leaders, reformer, administrator, etc. Now, why they have not mentioned the list of administrator, reformer? It can be 5, it can be 50. At least they could have mentioned it. They could have mentioned right from Socrates to Aristotle to Plato to Machiavelli to Hobbes to Kant, so many. To the India, right from Manu to Ashoka to Kautilya to Gandhi, social reformer, Vidyasagar, Raja Ram Mohan Rai, so many things. Administrator, E. Sridharan, so many numbers. DN Session, so many. But they have not mentioned it. Not required. Not required. The reason is, even if they are asking, because why I'm saying I'm trying to bring here is very important is, like most of the time while managing the time in the preparation of paper 4, I have seen that candidates are more rushing for some kind of information, thinkers, something related to public administration, something related to philosophy. It never happens. The demands is not like that. The reason is, another question read it last year. Human beings should always be treated as an end in themselves and never as merely means. They have not written it can't. It's simply a statement. Huh? The name of Kant is not mentioned. So what happens for your preparation is, you can't mug up. You can't mug up of 100, 15, 100, because in the classroom I will give you. Certainly don't worry for that. At least we will give you some 50 to 60 compilation of moral thinkers, administrator and so on. We'll give you for writing. But what is required here is, you need to understand what ultimately is common between the reformers, administrators, good administrators, leaders. What reformers fight for? What leaders teaches us? What? It's about justice. It's about equality. They try to give voice to the unheard. They fight for the freedom of independent, means individual freedom. It can be freedom for intellectual freedom and so many things. So once you are listed with the values, then it's very easy to answer it. In the same way, what we learn from good administrator? What we learn from the good administrator? Professionalism, dedication to work, discipline, responsibility. So these are certain things that we need to take care in this paper. Not the name. I tell you one thing, that TN session, see the work of the TN session. Always we do remember about the election commission and the reform taken place in the election commission, and so many initiatives had taken during his period from 91 to 96. But this is not the only good thing that TN session did. But we do remember his extraordinary work was related to the Madras Transportation Authority. He worked fabulous, extraordinary work there for public transportation in Tamil Nadu, particularly in Madras. And in one occasion, during a period of a strike, he drive one bus. But we do need to know it? No. What we need to know is how his action empowered the voters. How TN Session's action empowered, means the whole approach or the whole contribution ultimately helped in strengthening or achieving the democratic goal. This is same is the case with the E. Sridharan also, Shankaran also. So this is what I'm trying to say is, if the idea is very clear, okay, fine, we have to do this, these are the lists, point number 1, point number 2, point number 3, point number 4, then little bit your answer may become more objectively. From here only we have started by saying that answers in general are not very objectively written, because while correcting the copies and while interacting with the candidate, I witnessed that while writing the answer, what happens that if you have to write 200 words, generally there is a tendency that you can't write really practically 150 words to if you need to complete the paper. Ideally, if you wish to write it and if you are capable enough, always welcome. But there are limitations also of a human being. And then what happens that after 50-60 words, you lost somewhere and you didn't get a very good fresh information, and then repetition, some kind of repetition is start coming up. And finally, I have seen that barring few copy, no copy is end with the conclusion. Now often say candidate that the topper is saying that not required for introduction and conclusion. There are n number of toppers who used to speech, but then you should also ask them what happened last year. Number one, there are n number of toppers, they are going for the improvement and never go for improvement, and they didn't qualify the prelims also. Is it not true? So if you are so sacrosanct and you have decoded the success mantra of UPSC that whatever you say it clicks, then why don't you improve next year? The last year your rank is 150, improvement you go 600. And then another next year couldn't qualify the prelims also. I know the rank also. But probably this is not the right place. So what happens is that suppose there is a situation in the case study, conclusion is always very, very important in the sense that is your final say. That is your final say. That is your final opinion. It's not like that point number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 happens. So it's very, very important to do so. And once you are able to, last 5 minutes only I will take. Once you are able to illustrate the syllabus, your work is done. I tell you how. First I read out 3-4 questions, and then just giving you one clue, you can see that easily all of the question you can solve. Like one question is, what does ethics seeks to promote in human life? Fine. I repeat, what does ethics seeks to promote in human life? This is last year's question. Then the last one question is, integrity without knowledge is weak and useless, but knowledge without integrity is dangerous. Fine. Okay. Then see another question. What do you understand by value and ethics? Another question. The good of an individual is contained in the good of all. Fine. Now, if you easily design, there is a topic called human value. Fine. It's there now. It's there. Now, the list of human value is very exhaustive. You can do so, but for the sake of convenience, it's broadly there are 4. You can say freedom, individual freedom, intellectual freedom, then love. Ideal love is consist of 3 attitudinal component, that is care, respect, responsibility. Then you can say creativity, and then wisdom. Wisdom is consist of, it's not about information, it's not certainly about knowledge also, it's not alone experience also. So what happens is that ideally if UPSC has to frame a question and I have to frame a question or somebody has to frame a question, it's very, very easy to pick one point, one subtopic and frame the question. Now whatever question I have already read out. Most of the question can be answered through the freedom, for the love, individual, how individual's relation with the society, society's relation with the system. So once you understand 3-4 things, small things, and how to integrate it, your job is done for this paper. This paper doesn't demand too many things as far as other sections also concerned, administrative ethics, probity, corruption, public service, etc. So once you understand, okay, fine, these are the topic. If it is service or public service, within the public service, there are 2-3 things. Even if you talk about the foundational value of civil services, it's a written foundational value for civil services. But when you have to prepare, you have to take care of at least 20 to 25 values. It's a written 5, 7, 6, 7, 8. It's not more than that. It's a written integrity, impartiality, non-partisan, objectivity, dedication to public service, empathy, tolerance. But there are so many. Can be commitment, can be so many things. Objectivity, there are so many things, can be. But when you study this topic, it's very, very important to correlate with the contemporary development. See from this paper perspective. And the perspective is like you have to see what are the democratic goals, what are the impediments, what are the civil servants are supposed to do or the public servants are supposed to do, how they will perform, what are the qualities, essential qualities are required. And then this gives you a complete picture and the umbrella. Then there are very less chances that UPSC may surprise you with some kind of question. At least even if they surprises you, you would be in a position to write a very good answer for it. And this is why once you understand the essence of the topic, it's very, very easy to explain the case study also. And the last, as I told you, we will be brief. As in every interactive session, I used to say, don't speak too much because you are already fed up with the taking suggestions. So last one situation. Suppose you are a serving police officer and there is a bodyguard. Your bodyguard saved your life once. You have to clear, you can say, a license for the revolver of someone. You have to clear, you have to sanction it. And it's valid, it's a reasonable, means the license deserve it. One day you come to know that your bodyguard has taken 500 rupees or 100 rupees from that person. What you will do? What are the options you have? Will you shock? Will you punish? Will you hang? Zero tolerance? No corruption at all? Cancel the license? Or you need some other options? If yes, then what are the other options? In the same way, I give you another situation. Situations creating its case study is really very interesting once you understand. And in the last 2 years, I along with Mr. Sir did so many case studies. We created so many case studies. Really, like I can create some 500 in the classroom itself. Now, I giving you another suggestion for one situation. The situation is you are a DM, fine, or you come to know that most of the schools in your area or the public schools are not in a good state of health. Class is not on regular time, no security, no you can say teachers are there, and then you suddenly come to know a complaint that few teachers in few schools are very rude, very indisciplined, and so on. What you will do? Even if the situation is worst, will you sack those teachers who are indisciplined? Will you punish hard? How will you talk to the headmaster? What are the options you have? But while writing the answer, it's very, very important. Even if you come up, okay, fine, I'm going for the punishment because of certain indiscipline, and indiscipline is not tolerable. We can't tolerate indiscipline. But you need to understand one thing. Even if you are recommending for or writing for some kind of punishment, then you should have a sense that punishment always comes as a last resort. Punishment always, you before exhausting options available to you, you can't punish. Punishment is the last resort. Now you tell me, whatever I have discussed, I gave you 5-6 case study in the classroom itself we have discussed. What extraordinary things it required except a good observation, awareness, understanding, and more important, capacity to experience. I always say this is the only thing that is required, and that is what I will try to do in my sessions. Gradually, and believe me, after writing four tests, it's possible little bit to improve it. Why I'm telling you little bit? Because I cannot be so arrogant to say that some revolution is going to happen. It never happens. Whenever it will happen the incremental improvement. I repeat, incremental improvement, and that incremental improvement itself will take care of your need. Thank you very much. Now, whatever question you have, I am ready to answer it. Yes, please. Okay, fine. See, objective and subjective analysis in the sense, suppose I give you a question. Like it gives the question, I give you a situation because then it will be tangible to discuss. Otherwise, it's more a kind of speech, some sort of thing. The question is, real freedom is of the mind and spirit. It can never come to us from the outside. The question is, fine.